Ooh, we're live. Aha!
Hello, world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Day 2 DevOps weekly live stream. We've done this 3 times now. Number 3?
Yeah, I think so. We're getting the hang of it, mostly.
Yeah, we're slowly figuring this thing out, at least allegedly. How you doing, Kyler?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing today, Ned?
Tired. I haven't
Yeah.
fully recovered. I took my son to a concert, not last night, but the night before. And we didn't get home until like almost 1 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah, and as an old,
yep.
just an old, it takes me a day or two to recover from that.
Same. Yeah, you need a lot of extra sleep to recover.
Well, I did not get that yet.
In this midlife that I am entering, or maybe am in.
Well, I'm going to give myself a 1-2 punch. I'm taking my daughter to see Katy Perry on Saturday.
That's very exciting. Good luck to you and the amount of caffeine that you can drink.
Yeah. I don't have anything for or against Katy Perry in general. I don't generally go to big shows like that, so I'm really curious to see what a live show of that magnitude looks like. I'm used to going to like basements where like special effects is someone brought a spotlight.
Totally. I think it'll be fun. People have been really knocking her for the space stuff, but like she just wanted to go to space. That sounds cool. I want to go to space.
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Excellent. So I am taking this class to become a Microsoft certified trainer. And this week, one of our activities was to talk extemporaneously about a question that they were just going to throw at you. So you had to talk for up to 2 minutes about a question that you were just seeing right before you go. And my question was, if given the chance, would you go to outer space? And I was like, holy, what a softball question.
Obviously,
Absolutely, yes. Not even a moment's hesitation there. I was like, and now you have to sit with me while I explain all the reasons why going to space would be awesome. And there were many and sundry, but I managed to keep it under 2 minutes. So I was proud of that.
I am 100% in favor of going. I know it's dangerous. There's, I think it's like $20,000. You can go on these big hyperbolic flights and they don't quite go to space. Hyperbolic might not be the right word, but it goes up.
Parabolic?
Parabolic. Thank you. It's not a hyperbole. It's a parabola.
It's for real.
It like goes up and then it like goes almost to space. Then it comes back down and you're weightless for like a minute or something. And you do it like 5 or 10 times or something. And that sounds so cool. And I pitched this to partner Lindsay and she said, no, that's not real space. No, thank you. I want real space.
I mean, I do want real space, but I would take the vomit comet if that was an option. They call it the vomit comet because most people don't make it through without throwing up.
I probably would. Yeah.
I would totally.
That's not great.
No doubt.
I need my paper bag.
Yep.
Yes,
but
please.
I'll be happy holding that paper bag. Should we talk about a couple of the episodes?
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. And hi, Manu. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We had 2 episodes release over the past few weeks. We had the AI submitting pull requests and issues to the maintainer of curl. You want to kind of start there? Have you had any additional thoughts or read anything further about it?
I don't have like good news. AI hallucinates, Gen AI hallucinates, like that's the state of the art, even for like the, GPT-5 that launched yesterday, it still hallucinates. And so when it is very, very confident, it can back it up with lots of facts that, are probably false, but they can do it. So like the problem is just going to be worse. It's just going to get worse, unfortunately, for a lot of open source tools, for anyone that accepts PRs from the internet. And some of my tools accept PRs from the internet. I haven't noticed PR slop yet, but yeah, it's a problem. Have you been thinking about this, Ned?
I mean, I have been thinking about it because OpenAI just released GPT-5, but we all kind of knew it was coming. And I'm very curious to see if that improves or helps out the AI slop, like in a positive way. I know, like, the main problem that Daniel was bringing up when we interviewed him was that on the surface, the issues initially seem like they're quality, but then when you actually try to run the code that it generates for you, you quickly realize this is nonsense, or it's finding an issue that doesn't really pertain because it's already taken care of by something else in the code. So you found something where I'm not checking to make sure it's not a 0 or a null pointer, but I actually checked it somewhere else in the code already. So it's already sanitized. So there were a lot of things like that. I'm very curious to see if GPT-5 is better at finding actual issues, or if it's just going to be more prodigious in the slop.
Yeah, from what I have been hearing, I haven't used it yet myself. It's not shown up on my ChatGPT portal, even though I'm a paid user. It is about the same. It's a slightly better than Cloud Code. I read numbers like 5% better. And we were hoping this would be AGI. This is the robot overlord of the future, and it sounds like it's just slightly better, which is just, I don't know. Am I comforted by that I'm not going to lose my job to AI yet? A little bit. But also I think it's really cool, and I want to see like brilliant, genius robot helpers come around. So,
Hi, Akash. Thank you for joining. If you or anybody else who's watching has thoughts on what's going on with AI and open source issues and NPR stuff, let us know. If you have experiences, we'd love to hear about them. I don't think this is a problem that's going to go away anytime soon.
You're not going to get solutions here today, but we might hear you.
The other episode that we aired was a discussion with Armin Dadger from HashiCorp about the fact that HashiCorp is now owned by IBM. And I've already gotten a bunch of positive feedback about that episode. It was a very frank discussion. I was a little shocked at how upfront Armin was about the whole endeavor. Did you kind of feel the same about it?
Me too. I thought we would get a lot of PR speak and just kind of, at his level, which like he's way up here in the, influential sphere and ownership of Terraform that has transferred to Big Blue. I thought we would get a lot of non-answers, but he was very frank with the situation and the adventure and the stuff that he's worked on and stuff he cares about. It was a wonderful discussion.
Yeah, I don't know if you track Terraform releases really closely. I watch the repository, so I know when they're releasing stuff. And I've definitely noticed in the last few months that the release cadence has gotten faster.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so 1.13 is in like RC mode at the moment, but it'll probably drop next week. And I feel like 12 just came out less than a month ago. It's so fast now, and they're adding like things that are actually interesting. I'm really curious to see if any of these things get ported back to OpenTofu.
Yeah, me too. I'm an open source zealot, but if I'm running an enterprise, I'm probably on Terraform too. And we talked to him a little bit. One of the bottom lines for me was that Big Blue, IBM's been around for, I think, 100 years, maybe just over 100 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of the services they maintain forever. They don't have the Googleism of shutting everything down after 2 years. So Terraform's going to be around for probably many decades. So if you're going to build processes around tools, that makes you feel pretty good as an enterprise architect, right?
Yeah, I looked it up, and one of the founders of IBM, Herman Hollerith, he founded the company that would eventually be amalgamated into IBM in 1911.
Oh my goodness.
So it is over 100 years old as a company if we want to trace it back to like those roots. Okay, interesting. We got a question from Abhay. Do you know if any AI agent workflow are adding for Terraform? I mean, I don't know, Kyler, do you want to go take this first? Because I know you're using some tools.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for AI agents and agentic workflows and stuff. I've been playing with Strands a lot, which you should investigate. It's incredible. It's an open source language from AWS that helps you do anything and minimal lines of code. It's really cool. One of their proof of concept, I know I'm getting away from the question, but I'll come back to this, is you can give it tools and it natively can do MCP type stuff with those tools. And one of those tools is math. So you can say, hey, AI, like do your thing, hallucinate, whatever, do some cool things. And then if you need to do math, use this MCP tool, which is a calculator. So it's funny. I know it sounds hilarious, but just AIs are so poor at deterministic things like math, and giving it an MCP tool that lets it use a calculator can solve that problem. But anyway, there are MCP tools available that let them do Terraform, so you can give an agent the ability to use Terraform to do stuff. I wouldn't imagine that we'll see AI within the Terraform binary. I think AI is going to remain the purview of the platforms you use Terraform in. So if it's like Hashi Enterprise, I imagine that'll be renamed to IBM something or other soon. That is certainly going to get AI to help you review pull requests and deployment errors and build code. But Terraform itself, I think, will remain a utility in the same way that like a hammer doesn't build a house. A hammer's really good at hitting nails, and that's all it's going to remain at. But I'm curious if y'all think that too.
Yeah, so we did get a comment that Strands is awesome from Manu. I don't know why he's showing up as the LinkedIn user when the comments coming through here, but
from human Manu, it absolutely has. I've written hundreds or thousands of lines of Python that these Strands bots can do with like 24 lines of code. It's fantastic.
And apparently there are, as you intimated, there are some name changes coming to the HashiCorp stuff. I looked through the document that's linked there, and it's almost all licensing names. So the actual main flagship products like Terraform, Vault, Nomad, all those are keeping their names, but some of the licensing things are changing to a different license name. One of them was like Nomad platform license is now going to be IBM Nomad Self-Managed Premium Resource Value Unit Flexible Subscription License, which is very IBM of them.
That's a terrible name.
It's a name that no one but licensed people are ever going to see.
Totally. Yep. You see it on your accounts payable, you move on.
I guess. I want to come back to the question of AI workflows and Terraform, because I've been messing around with the Terraform MCP server a bit, because that does now exist, and I use it in VS Code, and it does actually help with properly formatting and following some standards. So if I'm looking at some Terraform code I wrote a while ago, and maybe I wasn't following all the best practices and standards, I can ask for the agent to take a look at what I've written and either make suggestions or actually make changes to make it closer to what best practice might be. And it does a good job. It doesn't break any of the code. That's like my main problem, is like, just don't break my stuff. And if it's going to be a breaking change, tell me before you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. This morning I was playing around with adding to an IAM policy. I'm messing around with EFS, Elastic File Store, which is like for your serverless workflows, shared disk. Very useful, very, very applicable for a lot of workloads. And the IAM policy kept being recommended to me as EFS : which is wrong. And that should be how it's written. That's how every other IAM policy is written with the short code, but that's not true of EFS. It's Elastic File Store : And so the bot and GitHub Copilot kept correcting my correct code to something wrong in several different phases. So like locally in VSC, it was correcting my code to something wrong. And then Copilot on the PRs, the auto reviewer, was like, this is wrong, I'm pretty sure. I'm correcting bots that aren't listening, that aren't training on my feedback data. And like, that's a way to go crazy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Do you think better MCP support would help with that? If the reviewing agent could go and actually check the AWS docs and be like, oh, yeah, no, that's correct.
100%. Azure, Microsoft has some incredible MCPs for like their documentation. And I didn't really get that at first. Why would you want an MCP tool for documents? MCPs are for doing stuff, for verbing nouns. And it turns out it's actually incredibly powerful when your bot can have a deep understanding of the technologies you're working on, because it won't get that from foundational models. They have sort of an approximate, dated knowledge of the stuff you're working on, but being able to check real-time documents for how things actually work today is really powerful. And I think we're going to see, I think MCP is winning. I don't see any competitor to MCP today for, making tools available. And I think we'll just start to see MCP pop up in every agentic workflow that we work with. And they're showing up everywhere now.
Yeah. I'm curious, folks watching, if any of them are using MCP servers today that they find particularly useful. I know I found a few that I like, but curious what people are using out there, if they're using anything. I made a post on LinkedIn, like I do, because I was in my feels about something. And well, let me take you through my initial thought process. I am studying for the AZ 104 exam. I have not taken a Microsoft certification in so long that basically all of my existing certs have expired. But if I'm going to start teaching classes, I need to have the certification for the class I want to teach. So I was like, I'll get the AZ 104, and I'm studying for it. And there's a lot of questions in there about how to do operational things like deploy a virtual machine using the CLI or using PowerShell. And so I was like, this is wrong. You should be using IAC. Why are you teaching people the wrong way to do things? So I posted that, and people had some, feedback. And then I thought about it some more, and I feel like maybe I am being elitist about things. If I am a busy sysadmin who's putting out fires all the time at my little SMB, do I really want to learn ARM templates or Terraform? Or is it enough for me to just bang out a couple things at the CLI and go to the next fire?
I did see this post. I don't think I responded to it, but I had thoughts that I didn't take the time.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I think it's useful. And I don't say that because Terraform is amazing and everyone should use it, although it is, and you should. I say it more because it helps me learn. Anytime I need to use a new technology, I start with the Terraform docs and I go read, what are all the flags I can turn on? Which ones are required and which ones are optional? What are the things you can inject that are referred from somewhere else, like a dependency? It's really helpful for me to learn. So I think even if you're at a little SMB, it might be useful. Don't chain yourself to it maybe, but I think it's super useful. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, first, I just want to acknowledge that Skin, this is Manu. He's using Terraform MCP server and AWS docs, which is cool, to create Sentinel policies. That sounds awesome.
Oh, that's an incredible use case.
I want to know more about that. Maybe we need to have him on a show to talk about that particular use case, because Sentinel policies are super cool. Yes, you are. LinkedIn user is LinkedIn user. Great
comment, LinkedIn user. Yeah, I would love to have you on to talk about that. I think that's fascinating. Those sort of oblique security languages that are invented for a tool, I don't want to learn those. I want to go my whole life and not learn those. I want them to work, but I don't want to ever learn that language. So
I know we're on a tangent of a tangent, but I got really interested in OPA for a while, Open Policy Agent, and how you can use it as a replacement for Sentinel to do policy as code with Terraform. And that uses Rego. And I don't know why, but Rego is constructed in a way that my brain refuses to understand. It's like if someone showed me a 4-dimensional cube and was like, yeah, you see it, right? Makes sense to you. My brain would be like, nope. I only see in 3 dimensions. Sorry.
Yep. No, thank you.
And then I realized, because this was all happening as the first ChatGPT stuff was getting popular. And I realized there's enough examples out there that I can ask ChatGPT to write Rego for me, and it'll do it, and I can have it test itself. And it works. And I was like, oh, so I don't need to learn this language.
Fantastic. I think there's an argument here for measuring enterprises based on how many languages you have to know to deliver something to prod. I think you can measure the complexity of deployments just based on do I need to know 5 languages or 15 to get it all the way through to production? And if you can avoid them using anything, use AI to avoid a couple of those languages or tools, do it.
Yes. Getting back to the IAC conversation, I think my thought process went a little bit like this, and I'm trying to like map this back to when I was that overly busy sysadmin working at a small business. I mean, I worked at a place where we had about 200 odd people and 3 IT people. And of the 3 IT people, one of them was the boss, so he didn't really do anything. Well, I mean, he did stuff, but nothing IT related. So it was really just 2 of us, 200 some odd people. We were responsible for servers, desktops. We were responsible if like the AC wasn't working in a part of the building, we were the ones who would call the HVAC company to come out. If the vending machines got stuck, we had the keys to the vending machine so we could fix it. Like if it plugged in, I was responsible for it. And I think about that person and I'm like, is there any utility to learning IAC at that scale? We had, I don't know, 40 servers, maybe. Virtualization was just coming out, but I mean, it'd be more popular now. What is the benefit of me learning IAC in that position where I have all these other things that are probably more pressing and important? And so for that person, like just learning some PowerShell and some like CLI commands is about all I have time for. And it's good enough to get my work done. I'm not doing things at scale, you know? I don't have to maintain 6 different environments that are identical in nature. If I'm lucky, I have a dev environment. I definitely don't have QA and staging. So with all that in mind, I was thinking about that person. I'm like, we need to make tools that make their lives just as easy as someone who's trying to deploy at a 10,000 seat enterprise with Terraform. And I feel like there's a gap there. There's like, I don't want to do that person a disservice or just like wag my finger and be like, you should learn Terraform, don't you know? I mean, they should.
Absolutely. Maybe the tools are going to get better where you configure one thing correctly and you import it and it generates the code for you. And I know they have improved in the past couple of years, but that would sure help folks. You click through the way you're used to, and then you say, okay, we'll generate the code for that. What does it look like? Why does it look like that? And that would help onboard folks into learning these tools because they're so useful for portable skills. When you move on to your next role, you're probably going to work with Terraform. You're probably going to touch Ansible. So it would be helpful to, onboard them however they can.
I almost think Terraform and tools like it should form the back end. And the sysadmin doesn't need to see that back end. Someone needs to create that bridge that leverages these really useful technologies on the back end, but presents a really friendly and useful front end for admins to consume. Maybe it's already out there and I don't know about it, but I feel like that's where I would want things to be, kind of the next finish for infrastructure.
Absolutely. Do you remember the podcast we did? I'm going to blank on the name, so I'm putting you on the spot, of the real-time representation of your infrastructure.
System initiative.
I'm so glad you remembered the name.
Yeah, that was Adam Jacob.
That's pretty much what you're describing. That sounds incredible.
Oh, I like this. Natural language driven IDP. Well, that brings up an interesting point, because what someone said in the comments to my follow-up post where I kind of walked back what I was saying about the Microsoft exams a bit. Someone said AI might fill that gap. Because what is AI really good at doing? It's taking natural language and then expressing that as code somewhere. And the only missing gap there is something that can take that code and then do something with it. Well, that's like an agent. So if I have an agentic workflow where I can describe my infrastructure in natural language, have one agent then create the architecture diagram for me and have me confirm it, and then have another agent go and actually provision and maintain that, and then create a reusable template. I don't think we're that far off. You could probably string something together with existing tools today and package it into a product tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure that's $1 million idea. So, hey, everybody on the call, don't tell anybody.
Is it just weird? Every live stream we have, we come up with at least $1 million idea.
And then we don't build it. It's a great idea. I'm not going to build. I'm not going to spend the time doing this. But if anyone wants to do a startup, that would be a really good one.
I think so. I think we really hit on something there. So in that same thread, Adam Jacob actually pinged me and said, we're doing something similar at System Initiative. Like the product has continued to progress. And he's like, you want a demo, let me know. So I'm hoping to get a demo of where they're at now, several months later than where they were. I forget when that episode was.
3 or 4 months ago. It's coming up on, we need to have him back on and hear where it's going. Cause I agree. That's a gap.
I agree as well. Well, I hope to talk to him next week. We'll see if we can do a follow-up and see where they're at now. And he made some mention of some interesting AI things that he's doing. So that's cool. Let's talk about the future. What do we got coming up? Like, what's good with you? I know you're speaking at least one conference and perhaps two.
Just the one. Thank goodness. I need to stay home for a while. I have spoken at 4 conferences this year, and I got accepted to LWT, which used to be called Lesbians Who Tech, but they, anyone can come. So they changed it to LWT. Okay. It's in New York in October. I might go. They want me to buy a $1,500 ticket, even though I'm a speaker, to attend, which feels not great. Usually,
that's not how speakers work.
Right? Yeah, I'm going. And I have a job. I don't want to go and then also have a job and have to pay for a ticket. So we'll see. Yeah. I might be there. I might not. If not, Ned and I will be showing up for these podcasts regularly. So Where are you going, Ned? What are you doing next?
Oh, geez. Right now, I have just finished the first of 10 courses in my revised Terraform path for Pluralsight.
Oof.
So I am going to be like in Terraform land for the next 5 months, basically. That's not to say I'm not going anywhere, but that's going to be like my central focus. But I'm going to be at HashiConf for anybody who's going to be there. I'm going to IBM Tech Exchange for a couple days in Orlando, which is right after HashiConf. I got invited as a HashiCorp ambassador, and I was like, I'd never been to an IBM event. Why not?
Cool.
And then I'll be at KubeCon in November. So I'm doing a lot of traveling this fall, which is interesting given the workload I've put on myself.
Interesting. Sounds opportunities are in front of you.
Absolutely. Ooh, we got a long comment here. I was in but now I'm using QChat with MCP agent for AWS resources and Terraform. Loading, generating everything. Not creating any IAC by myself, and I don't know if I'm doing it correct or not. You know what? The proof's in the pudding. If the infrastructure you're deploying is working, then you're doing it right. That's what I say. Especially if you already have the expertise in the languages. Now you're just accelerating that expertise. I don't feel like I need to handcraft every Terraform configuration I write. I'm fine with letting a tool generate a lot of it and me expressing the intent behind it. So yeah, no, I think you're doing it right. Keep doing what you do.
You're like a manager for an agent, right? You're reading the code it generates. You're giving it feedback. You're saying, no. That's wrong. That would be a terrible security event. Fix it. And then they, work on it. But certainly there's like this sort of pull request concept for your local agent. And yeah, I agree with Ned. If your code is working, you're doing it right. And if it's saving you time, developers are sometimes kind of poor at estimating whether it's saving them time to work with an agent. It's really cool to work with a bot, but could you have written it faster yourself? And if it is faster with your agent, you're doing it right. That's awesome.
We got to have Tyler Lynch back on the show because he has been talking to some interesting startups that are fanning out work to agents and getting agents to run basically 24/7 based off of a work queue that's been built out in, I forget what they're using for the backends to build out work items, but it's like pick up a work item if one's available and go work on it. And it's really interesting what he's seeing people do. So we'll have to get him for a live stream, I think. We do have a few interesting shows coming up before our next live stream. We have Rizal and Ian from Hey Goose. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, that's right.
I forget the name of the actual company they work for, but the project they're working on is Goose. And that was a really interesting conversation kind of around IDEs, AI, MCP, all that kind of stuff. So that's coming up on the 13th of August. And then we're going to have what I think is going to be a really interesting sponsored episode with F5 and MinIO published later that month, talking about the solutions they've built for on-prem AI infrastructure, which, holy cow, we're talking like exabyte scale stuff. So I want to dig into their use case and how they're solving for it and how those two solutions work together.
Yeah.
That's, I think, on the 27th.
Data engineering. And they're following that trail. They're pulling that thread of, if you need to move around a lot of data, we can help. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what we got coming up. We got to drop now because I know you have a hard stop at the top of the hour. So thank you, Kyler. And thank you, everybody, for attending. And we'll do this again in a month. Until then, go out there, play with some MCP servers. Let us know what you find out.
Heck yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, all.